VP, Infamous, and Fnatic are all in that 5-point category right now. So you can reasonably expect one of those teams to only get, like, you're probably going to get a tie somewhere. Like, somebody's not going to win all their games. Somebody might only get one win. Put yourself up to 6. If you lose even one game, then you have to dream that one of these teams doesn't win a single game.
And the crazy part is, for me, Infamous, they're in a position where they can also control their own fate by 2-0ing an IP. And who would have thought that they would enter this game as prohibitive favorites?
If they actually manage to win this, they'll put themselves tied with Na'Vi. They will leapfrog over Evil Geniuses, be tied with Na'Vi for 3rd in the group at 7 points. And that almost will solidify their top 4. I think you need 8 to really be in good shot of it.
Let's see who else plays today. So we would have EG plays VP right now, so that could be a very hard draw for either side.
Yep.
Which would help. That if that series goes like 1-1 and Infamous goes 2-0, that would only help them. Then we have later on, how can this bracket help?
So particularly, Infamous want teams to draw.
Yeah.
Ninjas of Pyjamas want somebody to get blown the hell out of the water. They want somebody else to sink down into the depths of that very bottom group.
Yeah, Infamous only gets to play bottom 3 teams today.
Oof.
So they play RNG, and of course NIP, who literally only have drawn twice and have lost flat out on all their other series. So this is quite the interesting predicament that we're in, because I could very easily see a situation where Infamous could go like 3-1, 4-0, and suddenly they're in the cap. They're top 12 at TI. That's a life-changing amount of money for anybody, much less a squad that hasn't really had that much success throughout this year.
Yeah.
In one go, snap like that, it's like they got second at a major.
Yep. It's like it's like $1 million, right? For top 12.
You can check it out.
It's like close to it. Last pick, Ember Spirit for Ninjas of Pyjamas. They have a lineup that is going to scale late game, and they're trying to address this Broodmother pick that Infamous with big balls just dropped. 3rd pick. Let's see. We've got 13 through 16 to the 500,000. 9th through 12 is actually not that much more. Never mind.
Still,
it's only
all
600,000 for 9th
by
through 12.
virtue, if they win this one game, they have guaranteed themselves all $100,000.
Yeah. Dude, that is
a good year.
That's
I don't care who you are. That is a good year.
That's a lot of money.
It's really getting last. That is the rough part.
Yeah.
Getting last, getting even 16th gets you 100K individually. Getting last gets you 20, less than 20 actually.
Less than 20.
Like 17, which is like, no one's scoffing at 17,000 in 3 days work, but at the same time, like, it feels bad when you see how much
when the upside is literally millions of dollars.
Yeah.
You're not happy with 17K.
It's more than $80,000 more for just not getting last. And for Infamous, they're going to hang their hopes on this Brood. I think if you had asked anybody, them not getting last in the group is such a big win for them.
Yeah.
Securing themselves that 100K bag, you guys get it. But NIP, these guys are wily old veterans. Do not count them out just yet.
No. I mean, this is every single day is a new day at TI. You just need one of those really good days to get yourself into the playoffs. And then from there, anything can happen, right? Especially with those best of one. So last pick, Juggernaut. As you said, they're going to hang a lot of their hopes on this Broodmother. This is not a terribly surprising pick, I guess. Juggernaut feels like the most reliable carry. Can we say that? Like, Jug's just kind of, he gives you some team fight. He's got relatively strong laning. He scales okay.
I think Jug is like, he is the Mario of characters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's not great at any one thing, but he's just kind of good at it all. Stable laning phase, like you said. Healing Ward is great for team fighting and pushing. He's not your favorite right clicker. His ulti is kind of like hit or miss. He's just sort of like, he's good. I'm never excited about a Jug.
Yeah, it's not like it's not a strategy defining pick.
Yes, it's just like one of those things that you can slot in and you're happy about. You're like, okay, I've got a Jug. If somebody picks it in my pub game, I'm never mad.
Sure.
there are very few situations where I'm unhappy about having Jug on my team.
Meanwhile, Ninjas and Pyjamas, I mean, they very early set the tone of this game, which was with their Tidehunter into Troll, they said, hey, we have better late game than you. You can't actually stop that anymore in the draft. Like, the moment you picked up the Broodmother and we dropped this Tide Troll on you, we have better late game. You're going to have to end the game fast on us. And Infamous, I don't think they're going to be displeased with that notion. I mean, the way they've been playing Dota so far and the aggression that they brought to it, I don't think the concept of, oh, guys, it's 20 minutes in and we haven't taken a lane of barracks yet. Like, I don't think that's really going to slow them down at all. I think they're going to play with the same kind of fearless pressure they've been doing all group stage long.
Oh, look at that. The tips on a PPD. South America and PPD, of course, having a long history.
Oh, absolutely.
As a result, you know, PPD wasn't allowed to go to Carnival, but...
Yeah, he even is very famously called the qualifier slot that Infamous got to TI in as the charity slot, as the free slot, right?
What is free now, friends?
And
how quickly things change.
Things have certainly changed.
He's also like the champion of... Remember when the whole CCNC squad thing happened, and they lost their spot. I kind of blame us for that one.
Yeah.
The interview that let's not talk about that. Hey, CCNC is about to get top 4 potentially. It all worked out. As they're gonna fight over this rune.
Gonna roll over him. 33 is gonna be saved by the disruption. That will buy him some time. A lot of that spin damage being negated. 33 though will still fall. Dead. And -2. It has begun.
Jinx,
Stinger.
you owe me a soda.
Stinger will begin his climb into the ascendant intellectual realms.
His brain just gets more and more cone-like.
Dude, Whisper is Whisper gonna play the suicidal offlaner as a Leshrac here? Like he's not actually having a forward position. Schofield's gonna stick around at this bottom lane. They want to make sure they ruin Tide's game.
This seems like a choice that they make often.
Yeah.
Try to give Whisper the worst possible lane, and give your other 2 cores, because I do think this is a team that relies on their 2 cores to kind of win them the game.
Mm-hmm.
They really like Chris Luck and Hector. They're like, you guys are our all-star players. Let's keep it going. And as
sure enough, 33 is definitely in trouble here,
so
and he's gonna die.
2?
He tried to juke through some trees, but now it's -4 intelligence for the Tidehunter. A hero that certainly...
Dude, this is terrible for Tide.
He does not have a great mana pool to work with. Saksa trying to beat down Schofield, but they will not be able to get that kill.
At this rate, you know, he's not going to have enough to Ravage plus. And that is usually the... You know what the 2 heroes that I hate losing mana on the most? Actually, the hero it's Mars and Tidehunter.
Yeah.
Especially Mars, because there are no real int items that you want to go.
Yeah.
But Tidehunter feels just as bad.
They have like a set amount of damage, but like a set amount of mana to work with that damage. They have a strict combo that they need to execute, and if something's missing, it's just not feeling great.
As Hector, who we heard Kyle reveal, so I guess we can say too, Team Newbie thinks that Hector is the best carry at this tournament.
Yeah, and that's quite something.
That's high praise.
Kyle said he was an inspiration.
An inspiration.
And that's not the only thing that Infamous has done that's a little bit unique when it comes to the laning phase, right? We were talking about the regen factor yesterday. Just like those kind of little things that Infamous does that's just a little different, right? The suicidal offlane where they just sacrifice Whisper. The fact that they bring half the regen that any other team does when it comes to their lanes. They have a different idea about Dota, and it's working. Chris Luck, how's he doing? 14-1 compared to 13-3 on Fada.
Fada, I actually feel pretty bad for Fada, because I think he gets a lot of hate, and he always has. Just whenever Fada does poorly, it's like,
yeah.
You know, there are some circumstances that you have to consider, like as to why he's getting poor lanes and stuff like that.
I think part of it is that like Fada's legacy as a mid player in the early ages of Dota 2, like he solidified this very specific playstyle that was potent, and I don't think he's ever had that same kind of potency as a mid laner since. And I'm sure there's reasons for it, but
I think he's more like a 3.
Yeah.
As a mid laner.
Yeah.
And that's why the thing about Dota, guys, is someone will always have a bad laning phase. As bottom lane, 33.
And that's 33. 33 is having a rough one right now as he may be dying.
He's dead.
For the third time. Hector is going to take a little bit longer to run him down.
Hey, Hector's got boots.
33 is going to have to perform some sort of miracle juke to get out of that.
We'll not lose any more int, but
we'll lose a creep wave.
He's had a bad game and a half at this point. I mean, this is going to help Sox's game a little bit more, but I actually don't think that this ET is going to have that good of a game. He's kind of nice against the Brood, but doesn't really do anything against the Jug.
Yeah.
Like, Jug don't care.
You have to be super far ahead to do well as a ET against Jug. And I think that...
also, look at this top lane, by the way. Not to interrupt you.
Yeah.
But Whisper's doing fine.
No.
And this is a scary thing. When Whisper's doing fine, the guy that they intentionally... like, it's almost like they want Whisper to have a bad time. Some of the situations that they put him into.
I think the worst possible thing that happened from NiP is they said, oh, they're tri-laning us, so ET TP down to bottom, and then, you know, at some point in time, Schofield shows up at top, and it becomes a 2v1 for a little while.
Yes.
Whisper also wasn't that shut out because it's an Elder Titan, you know? He's not that. He's still going to get experience. He's not actually going to die. They are going to be able to get the splitter at the tar in the air. Ace, he does manage to get saved by the disruption, but yeah, they're just going to run out of damage. But that's fine.
Yeah, they're going to get the bounty runes.
What's not fine is the fact that they have 5 stacks of the Shadow Poison on Schofield. He will manage to refill his bottle here.
He wants to come back in right now, Cap.
He's really trying to with the Avalanche, and now they're going to pop the Edict. The Split Earth lands, and this time it'll be Peter, who's under assault and will fall.
This laning phase has gone way too well for Infamous. And remember, this was a third pick Brood, and it was kind of addressed in my mind, but I still think this is a very good Brood game.
Yeah. Saxa, he's going to be chased down. Nobody's having a good game at this point.
Oh, no, he didn't actually lose int, but it doesn't really matter for a 5-position silencer. It's more, it's like the int that you gain is sort of irrelevant. It's what you take away that's even better. And let me just say, even though 33 playing this Tidehunter does have a mechanic to farm the jungle, you almost never want to be in this position because you don't do it that efficiently.
No.
Tidehunter is not a hero that can afford to be at the bottom of the net worth charts. I know a lot of people consider him just like a Ravage bot, but that is the worst kind of Tidehunter. When you're in a position where all your hero can provide is Ravage, this guy's tanky. He's supposed to last in fights. You're supposed to throw out anchor smashes. You're supposed to frontline for your team. This is supposed to be a very good...
He's supposed to protect towers for you?
Yeah.
Like, he's supposed to be tanky enough that the Ravage is always a threat.
Yes. You're supposed to use your Ravage as like your last possible option. Not as like... not as the only thing that your hero can put out. Tide has always been one of those heroes where he needs to be top 5 net worth in the game to be successful. That is what I understand about the hero, and nothing's really changed in that regard. He is not a sacrificial offlaner. He's similar to Darkseer in that regard. Very item dependent.
Crystallock is going to be able to finish up his hand at minus, so the net worth is really going to start peaking, and it's looking like, Blitz, a game that Fada's going to have to save with his Ember Spirit.
Yes, he actually has to carry this one, because right now, the way that the laning phase is looking, again, every time 33 steps up, Juggernaut is so good against Tidehunter. You can spin on top of him, he doesn't care if you're cracking it off. His ulti is always going to be an effective kill threat. He's going to pop you like the watermelon that you are. And it's not even like this top lane is compensating by going so well. They've pressured Ace heavily. The Leshrac is doing just fine. Like, compared his CS and the amount of impact that he's been able to have versus the Tidehunter, and the Tide would love to have boots.
And they're going to have to stay in this lane, too, because of the threat of the Leshrac. The fact that he has gotten these levels, the high levels to Diabolic Edict, means that they're going to have to stay in this lane constantly.
Oh, they find the D-War, too. Everything that could be going wrong right now for NIP is going wrong because it's 7 minutes in. We're up 7-0 on the side of Infamous, and they've got a 4K gold lead. This is not what we wanted to see out of NIP. We said we want to see an aggressive team that gets going early, and that just hasn't happened.
We'll see where the first rotation from Fada ends up showing himself, as he does find a haste rune. So this is definitely a huge opportunity for him to change the tides of these side lanes.
Top lane, the whiff on the stun as Whisper was trying to find Ace. Are going to throw out the stun as well. This Tiny, by the way, is not that underleveled or underfarmed as PPD.
Here he comes. He's on his way. The toss back into his creep wave. Schofield just trying to get Whisper out of here because they know this rotation, I think, is coming from Fada. He hasn't actually popped his haste rune yet.
I think the reason why they spot this rotation, by the way, is because the classic, I'm going to give my 4-position mid lane.
Yep.
People are becoming so much better about that nowadays. Guys, in Dota, you always want your mid laner to leave and for somebody to take that space. Just so that, A, your tower doesn't get hit, but B, somebody's gaining all that juicy experience. And it's really safe experience, too. Ganking mid lane is never easy. There's always vision around the area. But it does mean nowadays that the mid laner, it becomes more and more apparent that he's on the move, which is why Fada right now, instead, what he's going to do is he's going to jungle for a bit, and he's going to make his way down, in fact, towards bottom, where he can't really have impact. His top lane ace.
Troll, he does have the ultimate, and he's going to be saved by the disruption. He also has magic stick charges, so Infamous should be very wise about that. You know, we talk about how aggressive they've been and everything, but they haven't overextended themselves yet. They've had a strong read of when they've just run out of damage, and they've put the pressure on, and that's good enough.
That was a rough move by Fada, by the way. When he went top, this actually hurt his game quite a bit.
Yeah.
Because the Broodmother is just a much more efficient jungler than you are.
I mean, why didn't he make like one of those TP plays? How could they possibly deal with an Ember Spirit who TPs in the lane, pops his haste rune, and runs at you?
I mean, he did TP to bottom eventually, but I don't think you feel that bad about it if you're Infamous. Like,
yeah, you could
your
see
Jug is strong.
Hector is not scared of Fada whatsoever.
Your Jug is really strong at this point. This Jug already has a Yasha. It's a very good timing for him as
Banny Rune's going to get split across the map. They're going to give 33 the mid lane, because boy does he need it.
He is so underfarmed at this point. Only level 5, not even quite level 6. Still doesn't... He does have the money for the boots cap.
Yep.
But this is not one of those Force, Mech, Guardian Grieve, Pipe, Tidehunters that you want to see.
Yeah,
this
he
is
can't
your
stop this
utility
push.
hero.
I think the concept was the Ember Spirit gets the levels mid lane, and eventually he gives the lane to Tide, who can protect the tower. But he's so underleveled and Chrysalek is so far ahead that this mid tower will not survive for very long.
Yes. I actually don't think Chrysalek cares that much about taking the tower this game.
Yeah.
I think the bigger objective for him is just to get fat.
It looks like it. I mean, the way he's just going for the Aghanim Scepter right now and building that up.
Let me say the best part about Brood games is when your side lanes go well. Because then you have no pressure to do anything. You can just farm. You don't have to pressure the map anymore. This hero, he gets to do both. That's what makes him so good. But when you're put in a position where you just get to hit creeps and you know that you're not being a burden on your team, like he doesn't have to share the jungle, which is really nice, right? His Juggernaut doesn't need to move into this triangle area. Nobody needs to come into mid lane because they're so far behind. He can get both the best of all worlds, really.
Schofield shows himself with the illusion, does try and get behind. He's going to toss his own illusion up in the air to try and hit Ace, but this rotation coming out with the global being used. Sadly, that is a losing fight for Infamous, as Fada is still able to teleport in and help defend his safe lane.
I ain't sad about it, man. I want this series to go.
That's true. This win is much more important for Nip than it is for Infamous at this point.
Yeah, I want maximum drama. Big drama show.
$7K right now. They are very close to actually doubling some of the other core's net worth in this game.
Again, you know where your bread is buttered. These are your two all-stars. Give them the best possible game consistently and let them do their work. And so far, Cap, they absolutely have. They've been given the space. They do such a good job of protecting Hector's game and giving Chrysalek these good one-on-ones. And it's going to reward them so far, as Fada is going to make the rotation. He does have an Invis rune right now. Most likely going to run into Schofield, who does spot him out. Stinger lays out the silence, but might not be enough to save Schofield as he gets a nice toss.
Even if Schofield dies here, he may have just done enough damage that other Infamous heroes can get away. Sure enough, Schofield is going to get run down by Fada.
They have to take this tower now on the side of NIP, because being up here with 3 different cores and getting nothing out of it feels so bad.
Yeah.
Because all that means is you're going to lose this bottom tower anyways, and you didn't actually get anything on the map. You didn't progress your game further.
They almost lost 2 towers for that. They had to pop the glyph to save mid lane, but bottom was still taken, and you know that mid lane's going to go down. He could just backdoor it.
Yeah, and Hector, he has unbelievable fun
and they're
at this
still
point.
contesting the Troll. It's not even like Troll got space out of that.
Yes. as they're going to come back in. PPD likely to go down here.
Yeah, he is definitely dead as he's going to be hit by the split earth. The toss over onto Ace. A beautiful play by Schofield. Ace actually pops that battle trance and will be able to kill the Leshrac.
He might survive here for this.
So much heal, actually, that Stinger's not going to be able to do anything about him. And since Schofield ran out of damage there as well.
Nice. I'm not sure what the expectation was because you know, he had his ult the entire time. Hector in this bottom lane just continues to push it further, is going to TP out, reset himself to the base. Does quite a lot of damage on this bottom tower, and it's rare for somebody to solo push this lane out as far as he has. Oftentimes we don't see this tower get taken, but it just goes to show you how far behind NIP are that they aren't able to contest any of the towers. All 3 towers look quite healthy right now, Cap.
Oh, he's got heals. Oh. What I really like about this is that the way they set this up with essentially having 2 dead lanes, right? You can't pressure the Juggernaut and take his tower. You can't pressure the Brood and take his tower, especially with the way the lanes went.
Which is why they're pressuring this top. That's why Infamous is like all-inning, tri-laning this top lane.
Yeah, they can play with Whisper, so Whisper doesn't have a terrible game either. They're actually enabling him in his greatest strength, which is his willingness to go combat at all times.
Oh, we see PPD right now. He's going to get slowed up as soon as the silence pops. And look at how unafraid Hector is. He knows that his hero is the strongest in the game at this point.
Ty does have Ravage. He could pop it out of vision, but there is nothing really to follow it up, at least not yet. Now, Fada is going to go into the back line almost immediately, but his Flame Guard's going to be taken away from that Yule Scepter.
They do have global.
A lot of his damage, but they do manage to have the 3-man Ravage. Can he finish up Whisper for the global? It's good enough. The spin onto 33 will be able to trade out the offlaners here. The toss over onto Fada right next to Hector, and he's silenced up as well. He can't get away from this one. A triple kill. Godlike spree for Hector. Go ahead. Give him the beyond godlike. 15 minutes in, they don't. Schofield takes it away, but still, 3 dead. They only kill the Leshrac. Schofield limped out of that one, lucky to be alive, and a tier 2 to fall as well. Everything is going Infamous.
Let's not even talk about this Brood, because this Jug is so farmed. Not having a Midas, keeping up and farm to this Brood Mother. I mean, it's already a 11k gold lead at 15 minutes, and I mean, this is what we fear when we watch NIP games, just the slow march of entropy where they just lose.
Yes. At some point, it feels like they get into a losing game, and they
just don't recover it.
They don't go for like 5-man smokes or anything.
Look at that, Ace.
Oh, Fada is going to try and run down Whisper. In return, they avenge Ace, but these trade-offs.
Just not really feeling like it's worth it as Schofield has built himself up to almost 3,000 gold here. Doesn't even feel like buying the Blink Dagger just yet. Might even opt to get something like a Shadow Blade, being as far ahead as he is.
That's an interesting idea, yeah. Yep. Tipping Whisper back. Whisper chastising him with the chat wheel. Infamous certainly don't have to be the ones to have humility.
Oh, Schofield at bottom getting run down by Fada right now, and he's going to run into his own creep wave, likely to die here.
He tosses him back onto the range creep, trying to hide in the trees. The creeps actually black out Fada pretty well, but...
Not sure what Schofield... He had 400 HP, and he didn't pop his regen, and so Fada was like, if you insist. And that's a pretty good kill. This is how you get things started. Schofield was worth quite a bit of money. He had 3,000 gold banked up. Gonna get tipped.
You could almost feel like, you know, the same thing about them playing safe. You know, like you can just, it's so obvious. Nip are like very clearly, oh, I got a kill on you. Tip you. Are you tilted? Are you tilted yet? Are you going to run down mid and feed for me? Like, they just seem so desperate for Infamous to throw the game.
Yeah. And that's almost never a good sign, especially with the amount of talent that's on this team. Bottom lane, they're going to make the move on a Hector, but this is the freest of free Jug games. Let me tell you guys.
He's not scared at all. Yule Scepter. And the global silence to be able to chain that one. They throw down the Omni Slash just to make sure they have the burst damage. That's the Beyond Godlike for Hector.
They're going to lose this bottom tower now,
tier 2 as well.
Oh, they're going to run into PPD here. The toss back onto the silencer.
The captain of Ninjas in Pyjamas. He hasn't been able to pull Nip out of their funk so far.
They're going to go high ground
here. And Infamous.
Look at this split pressure right now. Chris Luck, the highest net worth hero in this game, hasn't even participated. He's 0-0-1. This is how far ahead Infamous is, that their highest net worth hero that almost doubles any other hero in the game hasn't even had to participate in a single fight.
He's got a BKB, so he could actually be quite crucial in this fight. They're going to be able to get the Ravage. Scepter actually went down from the Lesh track. They needed to focus that Lesh down first because look at all that AoE damage. Nip, as a result, are not able to get a kill, and they're all focused here, and Chris Luck has just gone in for the kill. He's going to try and finish up that tier 3. Fada shows up, so he backs up. There's no rush whatsoever for Infamous.
If you are a new viewer joining and saying, they got 22 brooded, last pick brood.
Nope.
Nope, this was a third pick brood from Infamous. They said, stop it. And they didn't. That's pretty much the story of this game right now.
They certainly did not. Shrines gonna be falling. Chris Luck is gonna keep chipping away at all of these buildings. You're gonna see this 4-split-1 where they just constantly assault the base, and Ninjas of Pyjamas have to 5-man. The sad part about their lineup is that they have to commit to one side or the other.
The fact that nobody's defending bottom should make this very, very apparent to Chris Luck.
Chris Luck, he is running as far away as his webs can let him.
And Infamous is just, they're the ones that, it feels like they're the ones making the veteran moves. Hector
spins out, finishes out the melee barracks, TP's away. Whisper, maybe the sacrificial lamb here. Schofield instead actually gets the avalanche, and they may all escape. Whisper has a long distance to run, but they guessed wrong. He thought they went into the trees earlier to go for the TP out. Now Whisper goes there. And just like that, almost 18,000 net worth lead. 1 lane of racks up at 20 minutes. 20 minutes!
That was such an odd maneuver because Chris Luck read that perfectly. He's like, if they're not defending bottom racks, they're not showing mid, they can literally only be ganking me. He runs all the way back. He makes sure that it's not some sort of weird trade where, you know, they gain gold because they kill him. He's level 20.
He also had like the spiderlings hitting the shrine while he was, you know, kind of in
nothing
smoke
was happening
distance.
on the map.
So the moment the smoke would pop, like his spiders would see it.
It's 18,000 gold lead now. Almost a K a minute. Just for anybody that is new to the game, that is usually the metric in which you know things are going out of hand. 1,000 gold a minute. That graph has not dipped for the net worth. No. It has just steadily climbed. That is 1,000 a minute, folks.
Yeah. And Infamous. Well, in some ways, this game may become a little simpler for Ninjas of Pyjamas as they start losing more and more barracks. They won't get split push as heavily.
And Chris Luck continues to not participate in these fights. He is all in committed to the split push because he knows that it's so difficult for NIP to deal with this Juggernaut alone. As Chris Luck's going to come in with the spiders.
They're going to get popped real quickly by the Anchor Smash. Ace is not here at all, by the way. He's just cutting the bottom lane. They're going to go for the Omni Slash. The Scepter out. The Global Silence on top. The Amber Spirit is just plain dead. He may have to buy back here just to be able to hold this. Chris Luck is going to be able to commit his BKB, addressing the Tidehunter. Wants to be able to force out the Ravage or kill him. Either way, it's happiness for Chris Luck as the rest of his team just going to focus on the buildings. The Glyph is going to stall them, and it looks like the Broodmother's going to back up, but Schofield does manage to jump in, finish out the Tidehunter. That's a second buyback for the Ninjas as Nip. They're going to lose their range
and
barracks.
Ace goes
They're
down
going to
too.
lose their topping lane. Ace is dead. He's going to have to buy back as well. They're losing the buildings and they're losing their heroes, and the buybacks just don't seem to amount to anything. There's no Ravage opportunity for 33.
And this is the problem with being this far behind on Tidehunter, is that's really all he is, but you're not really given the same opportunities because you're not tanky enough to just run in and get a good Ravage. You don't buy your team enough time.
It's that terrible feeling that he knows if he Ravages and they only kill one hero,
the game's done.
They'll just
go. If anything, you can just buy back and run down mid again.
Yeah.
You still have all but one of your tier 1s, including that always crucial mid tower. Just opens up so much space on the map for you.
Schofield revealed has 4 staff, Blink Dagger. Our Juggernaut with the Aegis has Manta, Mjolnir, and is going to be working towards Lincolns because he figures why not. Whisper. You will smack Greaves into BKB, and Chris Luck, man. This is the This is the piggy bank that Ninjas of Pyjamas were hoping to be able to crack open, take some of his net worth for their own, but sadly, it has not been the case. He has yet to die and is pretty much 6-slotted. As he can complete the Solar Crest here, is just going to go for the high ground, force Ninjas of Pyjamas back again. He's going to be able to take the range barracks, and looks like the melee barracks almost falls before anybody shows up. They wait for the stomp, goes back in, finishes that. Hector spinning on the melee barracks, commits for that one, and Ninjas of Pyjamas, nowhere to be seen, nowhere to be found. They just accepted Megas.
I mean, what else? What play is there to make, realistically speaking?
Well, the last play is apparently diving the fountain. That's what Chris Luck is up to.
This is just shocking, like how one-sided this game was from the get-go. And this is very similar to the game in which they lost to Vici, where it just felt like nothing happened.
Yep.
This is like the exact same feeling. The scores are even similar. I think they ended up with 7 kills in the Vici game.
I mean, it looks like Ninjas of Pyjamas also, it seems like they just have to have a good laning phase, because once they're in a losing situation, they just seem to get stuck.
Yeah, and I think partially what it is their draft is very limited.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where the progression is meant to lie. If you have a bad laning phase in Dota, it means that some other part of your game is going to be better.
Right.
It's our laning phase is bad, but if we can get through our laning phase, all of a sudden we'll be able to do X, Y, and Z. And for NIP, it feels like our laning phase is bad, and now we're going to roll over and just let them kick us until
our mid game is bad. Let's hope they throw, and at 55 minutes, we'll be able to win the game.
Yeah, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that Mushi Aster lineup. Was it Aster?
Yeah.
Where it's like all they did was hope that the enemy made mistakes.
Yeah.
They made 0 plays. All they did was farm. That's sort of how this one felt.
I remember the incredulous sound of your voice, where you were just like, "Okay, I guess they're just gonna give up all their outer towers and sit in their base."
It worked against
That's
complexity.
Their game plan and complexity, actually. They worked against them, but at TI.
No,
TI caliber teams, it's never going to work.
Third pick brewed did you, and you had 0 counters. This feels like a team that is shell-shocked. But if you're a South American Dota fan, with this win, Viva Peru, it means that no matter what, Infamus cannot get last in the groups.
Yep.
They have secured themselves the bag. 100K for all of you.
They are no longer the charity slot.
Congratulations for Infamous Gaming, because honestly, this is such a good result for South American Dota. Congrats to you guys.
And let's just keep it going.
And let's keep it going, because if they win the next 3 games against the bottom 2 teams in their group, they will potentially, very likely, have secured themselves a top 4 finish in this group. For NIP, they must win out. That is the only situation in which they can survive anymore. To even get into a tiebreaker situation, they have to win out. They need some help along the way. But it all starts with game number 2, as we are going to come to a close for game number 1. 22-8, 23 minutes in was the game. That'll do it for us for game number 1. We'll come right back at you guys with game number 2 shortly.